Another 7 days have gone by, and here we are once again. I welcome you. My name is Lou Smith. This is Beyond the Headlines for another Monday. Glad you can join us. A special welcome to those of you who are following us on K105 as the audio is carried live. Well, in May, the government of Grenada launched a long-term plan of action to achieve the government's developmental goals, known as the 2030 National Development Plan. It is expected to be completed and presented to Cabinet by June of next year. So where are we today? With me at this time are Timothy Entwine, who is the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Finance, William Joseph, representing the Conference of Churches of Grenada. To his right is Vincent Roberts of the National Democratic Congress, and last but by no means least, Carlton Frederick, representing the New National Party. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Pierce, I have to start with you. As brief as possible, explain to us what is this National Development Plan 2030, its aims.
Thank you very much, Lou, and let me say first of all, good evening to you, fellow panelists, viewers home and abroad, and especially our youth. The National Plan 2030 is an initiative that was proposed by the social partners. Mm-hmm. So I wanted at the outset to clarify that this is not the Government of Grenada's plan, nor is it the Government of Grenada initiative. It is endorsed by the Government of Grenada. The National Plan was something initiated by the social partners, which includes, of course, the churches, civil society, business, labor unions, and government. And what government has done is simply accede to that request, noting the necessity and urgency for the national plan. I want to take a moment before we continue to just introduce, in a sense, the steering committee, which is the governing body for the plan. And that's very important because it's a very broad-based committee. Yours truly, I represent government, and I'm chairman of that steering committee. Mr. William Joseph, who represents the Conference of Churches, is deputy chairman. Mr. Vincent Roberts is the representative for the National Democratic Congress. And Mr. Carlton Frederick is a representative for the New National Party. There are 11 members on this steering committee, including 3 political parties, all of the social partners, youth, and of course the government. What we have endeavored to do, or set out to do, is to create a plan in the image and likeness of Grenada for Grenadians, and to ensure that we come up with something that will survive electoral cycles and that will serve our country long and well into the future. So I wanted at the outset to say that this is a very broad-based plan. It is wide-ranging, and we have started by ensuring ownership at the highest and broadest level. And that is why the steering committee is so composed. And I can go into what the steering committee is all about, and in fact what we've been doing since the initial launch of the process in May. Because I must tell you, we have been very active since May. The steering committee has met every month since the launch in May. We've had joint meetings of the steering committee and the technical working group. We are here this evening as members of the steering committee to update the nation on where we are, to encourage them to join us all in this effort as a national, broad national effort, and also to give them a sense of what we've been doing so far, what decisions we've made. For example, one of the first decisions we've made is to have the chairman be a non-politician. You recall when the plan was, the process was launched at the end of May, the chairman was the Minister for Planning. At our very first meeting, or second meeting as I recall, the decision was taken to propose that the chairman be not a politician. Of course, the political parties are represented. And so, as Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Planning, of course also Finance and Energy, I have been assigned that role. I can also tell you one of the early decisions was the name of the plan. That name is now officially the National Sustainable Development Plan 2030. National Sustainable Development Plan 2030. And that is significant for at least 2 reasons. One, there is a strong awareness and commitment amongst the partners, all the steering committee, to ensure the environment and environmental issues are firmly anchored in the plan. But second, and quite importantly, is a recognition of what is going on in the international arena. In fact, this very week, there will be a World Summit at the United Nations in New York, where heads of state and governments will come together to launch the Sustainable Development Goals, which is the goals for the next 15 years to 2030. And it is not by accident that Grenada is aligned with that international vision, hence the name National Sustainable Development Plan 2030. Now, there are many other decisions, and as we go through the evening, I'm happy to share them and my colleagues what we've been doing.
Okay, thank you very much. William?
Yes, well, thank you, Lou, and good evening to your viewers and listeners. May I just take the opportunity to expand a little bit on what my chairman has just said regarding the scope of the plan. I think initially persons may have been of the mind that we were talking about an economic development plan. We are talking now about something much broader than that. We are talking about a plan that is going to address economic development issues, social issues, issues regarding our culture and so on. And of course, as Chairman just said, the environment. So the scope is very, very broad and is not restrictive in any way. It gives us an opportunity as a nation to begin to address some fundamentals, right? I think that if we reflect a little bit, it is very clear that since we became independent 40 odd years ago, we really have been groping in the dark. Yeah, nobody at the time we became independent, and since then, nobody taught us anything about development, about democracy, about governance, about government, and so on. So we've been, trying to find our way. Sometimes I say we've been chasing donkeys, but that is just to dramatize the thing. So we are at this point now where very significantly important players in the country have come to the realization that we need to settle ourselves down and put in place a comprehensive development plan for the nation that is going to move us from where we are now to a condition, a state of affairs X years from now that should leave us all and our children, of course, certainly in my case, and grandchildren, better off than we are today.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. And I represent the National Democratic Congress on the steering committee. And we are very pleased to be involved in this effort. The National Democratic Congress is satisfied. We are convinced that Grenada must have a direction. We must know where we are going. And as a constitutional democracy, the nature of democracy, our parliament calls for an opposition. So, there would be things that you would oppose as time go by. But there are some things that call for national unity and a national commitment. We are satisfied that the time has come, the time has way passed, for us to have a plan which can transcend political parties. And the social partners, having requested that we commit to this, our party is fully on board. We say that, and at the same time, we call for not just our supporters, but for the people of Grenada, and especially the young people of our nation, the youth, to be involved in this. Tonight, we are making our first leap into the public domain, if one may say so, as we start the consultation and start looking for feedback. You will be hearing the name, we refer to it shortly as Plan 2030. You'll be hearing it popping up. There'll be call-in shows, the radio programs. We're asking all of the media houses to be involved. We want to hear your voice. Let your voice be heard. We think that there are a lot of benefits. It will help us eventually to have a better society. It is not limited to economics. We think that if we develop this plan properly, it can enhance our spirituality. It can help to maintain our cultural heritage. It can help with the expansion of our education and our human resource development. Ultimately, the economic aspects will come into play, reduced unemployment. This is a plan which we must commit to as a nation. And as our chairman said, it is not a political party's plan. It is not the government's plan. It is the people's plan. And the intention is that the people will take ownership of this plan. And interestingly, the process, I'm sure we'll speak about the process later on, the plan would ultimately be approved by the people, sent to cabinet, and then to parliament. So this is our position, and we look forward to the people's involvement in this.
Brother Carlton, I think in this context, you too will say let the people's voices be heard.
Well, Lou, I want to take the first minute to say, good night to the listening audience out there, and to thank also the NNP for selecting me to be their representative on the 2030 plan. Lou, National Development Plan is a critical document. It's worthwhile. It's what you really need if you're thinking in terms of going forward in a strategic way. And the country that has a development plan would be an easier country to develop and to get where you need to go than one without. I always see that I sort of look at the plan as the new vehicles that are coming out with the GPS system, the tracking system. Not only gets you from point A to point B, but it also gives you the kind of direction, especially if you don't know exactly how you're actually going forward. It can tell you turn right, turn left, this is what you do, this is to your destination. And the plan is critical for this. It tells you which of the things that you need, how you prioritize, which are the things that you need to do first. What are the decisions that you need to make, how you go about making the decisions. So when we're talking about the establishment of a development plan for this country, I think that it is a critical thing that everyone should embrace. And I should say from the outset that my party embraces that plan. On two occasions, just before you, on two occasions, this thing came out clearly. You heard in the throne speech that it was said that we are going to accept that plan and try to do as much from the plan as possible. And in the presentation of the budget is the preliminary presentation 2015. We said that we're going to actually, get this plan and try to do as much from the plan as possible. And this is what we are here to do, promote the plan and let us develop the country in a systematic way as we move forward.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. Mr. Pierce, yes, we may say it is a plan of the people, but ultimately the politicians who have to implement.
Yes, that is correct. But it is the people who must say what it is they want. First of all, what direction do we want this country to take? As my colleagues have said, a plan ensures that we not only know where we're going, but everybody knows. Mm-hmm. Not just the leaders, everybody. And the people hold the leaders accountable for the implementation of this plan. That's a very important distinction that we must make. It is the people who must say, this is our plan, and hold people accountable. One of the tests we will have very early is when we come to the next elections. And the people will look to see in the manifestos of the political parties whether and to what extent their offerings are consistent with the national plan. Because remember, this plan is the people's plan. It is not an NDC or an NNP or enough plan. It is the people's plan. Whoever is vying for political office will be expected to embrace the plan and indicate what they can do with the plan in the next term, in the next 5 years. So that is a very important development. And I don't think we must underestimate the power of the people to articulate what it is they want to see for their country, what we want to see, and to ensure that our leaders, whoever puts themselves up to govern, are held accountable to deliver on those aspirations, those dreams enshrined, captured in the plan. So that's very, very important. And that is why the construct of the steering committee is of such, because we want to make sure the ruling party, the main opposition party are all at the table now, so it is owned by everybody. So you cannot have a situation where if the party in government changes, the person coming in, the party coming and says, we don't know about this plan. If you ask me, we have suffered from that before. don't forget we had a national plan in 2007. The government changed in 2008. The new administration sought to revise the plan in 2011. Of course, the recession and other things weighed down, and of course there's a preoccupation with economic survival. But the point is that every party that comes in, both on the NDC side and the NNP side, have sought to stamp their priorities on the national plan. And one can understand that, but I think that is not serving us particularly well. What this does is ensure that both parties, all parties, are able to make inputs into the national plan, have it developed and endorsed by the people, and then own it, so that whoever is given the reins of government has a plan to work with. They are not coming here from scratch and starting all over again. That's very important for our development and the pace of our development. I think we would all agree we may have moved faster, a lot faster, with a consistent application of a national plan. You look at Singapore. You look at some of the countries that have been able to sustain development, growth and development over an extended period of time. And one of the things that you will find in those countries is a long-term strategic plan which successive governments have stuck to. And that's what we need in our country at this time.
I guess the Caribbean should have taken the Caribbean man who gave Singapore all the details, even though he had offered it to the Caribbean first. Here we are today. So Arthur Lewis made all these proposals to the Caribbean. We didn't take him on. But gentlemen, I mean, say what you want. Yes, we may agree to this plan, but circumstances in the world today would dictate changes. Well, there's plenty of law for that. Because a political party, the one in power, or the one that may be in power, or just coming into power, may see the need for change. Wouldn't that be possible?
Well,
any one of you? Not necessarily, yes.
I mean, you have to be flexible, but there are some things.
Yeah, flexibility is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, you have to be, and there are things that will evolve. So if you have a natural event, like you have these days with whether it's weather events or whether you have geopolitical events, you have to respond to those. But there are some things which we know we must do. The idea or the notion of full employment in this country is something we have to strive for. And regardless of the circumstances surrounding us, that is a goal we must have, full employment. We have a serious challenge with employment in this country, especially among our youth. And we have to, by the way, interesting enough, one of the sustainable development goals is full employment. Because unemployment, by the way, is not unique to Grenada and the Caribbean. I have done some research, and youth unemployment is very high globally. Yeah. You'll be surprised. But it's an issue we have to tackle, lest we leave a generation behind. So I'm saying that to say, we have to work on policies and strategies to tackle the big issues, but the flexibility to treat with events that may emerge, because we live in a dynamic environment. And the plan will allow for that, while keeping focus on the big issues and ensuring that we're moving forward in a particular area. So even if you have turbulence, you're on a flight and you're going somewhere, and you have some turbulence, yes, because there's some bad weather, but the direction is maintained. You're going in a certain direction, and the captain and the team know exactly where they're going, and they focus on getting to the destination safely and, of course, as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Thank you, Lou. I just want to go back a little bit and touch on the question of the political parties. And to say this, that the basic precondition for the success of this work that we are embarking upon as Grenadians and on behalf of all the Grenadian people is public confidence. There must be public confidence in the work that we're doing and in the eventual output, which is to say the plan itself. Now, if we appreciate the Grenadian culture and all that we know about the role the political parties have played historically, and the manner in which the society has allowed the parties to essentially dominate the discussion regarding development and so on, we then realize that we have to break new ground. We have to now seek to develop a new relationship between people and parties. So I'm sure everybody here in the initial contributions by our brothers from representing the two main parties in Grenada would feel very encouraged that at least we are beginning to go in a direction that is plural rather than political, partisan in that sense. So the public confidence is key. One of the things that we are doing as part of the governance responsibility of the steering committee, we have proposed to the political parties that they consider and that we negotiate with them a protocol, a formal protocol that is going to commit the parties to what you hear all of us talking to tonight. And we believe that when that is achieved, it would be one of those things that would help the public to grow in confidence regarding the attitude and thinking and disposition towards the plan.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen, we take a short break here, viewers and listeners as well, just to let you know we're also taking a short break. But don't you go away. There's more when we return beyond the headlines.
Lottery song. This is our lottery song. Come on. The National Lotteries Authority have the games for you and me, with 5 games to choose from and play. So make your dreams come true today. Victory and scratch cash. Lotto Super 6 and play with. Monday to Saturday, this is when the game is played. The Lotto, Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Super 6, it's Tuesday and Friday. Get your instant scratch cash for only $2. Victory and play with. This game play all day, midday and evening, Monday to Saturday. So come on and let's play. Someone will win today. So stay tuned to GBN TV and radio for your daily draws. National Lotteries, supporting sports, culture and nation building.
A pleasant evening to everyone. Welcome to the National Lotteries Authority Lotto Draw number 2413 for today, Monday, September 21st, 2015. I am Anisha Charles. With me this evening is Ms. Priscilla Barry from PKF Accountants and Business Advisors, whose purpose is to ensure that this show is conducted in an accountable manner and that the game balls with industry standards and in no way tampered with. At this time, she have tickets at hand in case we're about to play for a jackpot of $48,000. But first, a free ticket letter. Your free ticket letter for this evening is I. I as an instant. Let's continue for 5 winning numbers. Good luck. First number for this evening is first number is 16. Second number 15. Third number up 32, followed by 21. Fifth and final number 28. Let's recap those numbers: 16, 15, 32, 21, and 28. That's 16, 16, 15, 15, 32, 32, 21, 21, and 28, 28. Your free ticket letter is I as an instant. Congratulations to all the winners of this evening's Lotto draw. Lotto, play and win a lot. Support sports, culture, and the nation building. Thanks for joining us. Have a pleasant Monday evening.
This is your lottery song. This is our lottery song. Come on. The National Lotteries Authority have the games for you and me, with 5 games to choose from and play. So make your dreams come true today. Victory and scratch cash. Lotto Super 6 and play with. Monday to Saturday, this is when the game is played. The Lotto, Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Super 6, it's Tuesday and Friday. Get your instant scratch cash for only $2. Victory and play with. This game play all day, midday and evening, Monday to Saturday. National Lottery, supporting sports, culture, and nation building.
At Courts, it's the biggest mattress clearance event of the year. We're making room for all new models. So, for a limited time, purchase any mattress, base, or divan, and get a second one, half price. Everything must go. So, head down to Courts now and take advantage of the biggest mattress clearance event of the year with nothing down and nothing to pay for 90 days. Only at Courts. Courts, bringing value home.
You just got into a car accident. Now you have to make a change. You don't have a cent. Don't worry. Be happy. Your home got flooded out and you've lost it all. And chances to recover start to look very small. Don't worry. Don't worry. Be happy.
Want to live the worry-free life today? Call us at Beacon or log on to beacon.co.tt. Beacon Insurance. Switched on.
Check. X-Bar. X-Bar. Ready or not? Turn up the flavor, high bar. It's about to go nuts. Just like a laser, it's explosive, deliciously dangerous, made to move you with tons of flavor. And of the explosion, roasted peanuts, so genius, layered in caramel, covered in chocolate. Oh my gosh, it's X-Bar. Tons of flavor.
Welcome back, and just in case you're just joining us, we welcome you beyond the headlines this evening discussing the National Sustainable Development Plan 2030. I got it right, Mr. Pierce?
That's correct.
All right. My guest, Timothy Interwright, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Finance, William Joseph representing the Conference of NADA, also Vincent Roberts representing the National Democratic Congress, and Carlton Frederick representing the New National Party. Gentlemen, I mean, I'm opening it to you for you have a discussion. Let us talk about the whole mechanics of this thing, how it's going to work. How do we get the people involved? To whom do they go? Or are you going to go to them? And all these little things. How would this work so as to arrive at something that, I mean, would not satisfy everybody, you can't have that, but certainly a great majority of the people?
Yes, well, this is very important. The plan is of the people, for the people, by the people. Tonight, what we're doing is basically the commencement of a public outreach, public engagement. For the entire week, this week, and over the next week and a half, 2 weeks, we will be appearing, members of the steering committee, will be appearing on various media outlets to inform the nation what we're doing, what we've been doing since the end of May, and what we will be doing going forward. So you will see various members of the steering committee appearing, including ladies, because we do have ladies on the steering committee, I assure you, Lou. And so you will see the full range. There are 11 members of the steering committee, and all 11 have committed to be involved.
Well, probably just before you go on, if you stick up in there, I could just, according to the list that I have, and you tell me if there are anybody else we should add. Andre Lewis, the Trade Union Council, Joan Purcell, Civil Society, Patifa Lewis-Smith, private sector organizations, Judd Cadet, Youth Representative, Dunstan Campbell, the Agriculture Representative, Carlton Frederick was here, Ferron Lowe, the National United Front, and the Reverend John Lewis of the Alliance of Evangelical Churches.
That's correct. So that's the 11, and of course we have alternates. And I must say that we've had seen a very high level of commitment from the steering committee. People have been coming to the meetings, actively participating in the meetings, and what we've also encouraged them, and in fact we will insist, is that they are engaged with their stakeholder, their constituents. So whether it's a conference of churches in the case of the deputy chairman, or the National Democratic in the case of Vincent, or Carlton in the New National Party, that they're constantly in touch with their members and getting feedback to come back in, report to take away, to bring back in, and so we go. Okay. Now, over the next couple of weeks, you will see us involved, as I said, on various outlets discussing the plan. But I want to also inform the nation, we want to inform the nation that we're taking this very seriously, and as a result, we've established a national secretariat for the plan. The national secretariat is headed by a senior public servant. His name is Rafael Joseph, a former ambassador to Cuba. The secretariat is based at the GCNA building in Lagoon Road. So we have our own office, and that is going to be a very important hub for all of the activities which will happen throughout the next year or so on this national plan. That's very important. We will soon be talking about a website, which is in the making. We will be engaging a firm or person to assist us with communication, because we have to use all platforms. One of the things, Lou, that we have to ensure is that the diaspora, the Ghanaians abroad, are also fully involved in this process. And so we'll be using a combination of social media platforms and other multimedia platforms to ensure that we get those inputs, home and abroad. And we'll be speaking more about that as we go forward. Ultimately, we will go throughout the country, across the parishes, using various stakeholders, and of course, engaging the civil society organizations and political parties to garner all the views of the people and to ultimately come up with a plan, so that when the steering committee finally approves the plan, it is a plan basically approved by the people, which we can then send to cabinet and then have it taken to parliament. So that you will hear about as we go along. And as I said, all of the steering committee members are going to be involved.
Okay. Anyone of the political parties?
A development plan is a very broad instrument. But no matter how broad it is, there would still be room for a number of things to happen. And whatever comes out from the plan, as far as the New National Party is concerned, would be given, as it were, the credence to the plan. In other words, we're going to say where the source came from. So the programs that the plan speaks to, we would be given the credit, as it were, to the plan in terms of that it comes from the plan, and that is quite important. But Lou, I have a feeling that we will not have a problem with the New National Party supporting the plan, in the sense that my duty within the steering committee is twofold. I have a duty towards the steering committee as a member, but I have a duty also towards the NNP. And I would want that the inputs from the NNP to reach the steering committee for discussion, and hear me, reach the steering committee for discussion to be implemented in the plan. Not just go into the plan, because that ain't gonna happen. You have to have the dialogue, everybody discussing, and whatever comes out of what we're trying to get in, then it goes into the plan. We want also to be discussing, as it were, with the NNP on its obligations and the conduct with regards to the plan. And of course, one of our brothers mentioned about the protocol. And I don't think that we have any problems with the protocol with respect to what we're supposed to do. And we want to be able to tell the public and all our supporters the importance of supporting the plan, so that when it comes forward, we can also put the plan as we go forward. And the question of implementation would fall on the government to implement, whichever government it is. I'm thinking it's the NNP for the implementation of the plan.
As it's talking about the implementation, what is interesting is that unlike the past, when any political party can come and make a wild promise, with the plan, the political parties would have to sell the people who can best implement the people's plan.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Who has the discipline to implement the plan? Now, it is dynamic. There are going to be changes in technology. There are going to be, natural occurrences, as we say. Sometimes, God forbid, we may have another hurricane or something of the sort. But all things being equal, It is who can best implement the plan. We are satisfied as the National Democratic Congress that we have proven that we have the discipline to do that, to stick to what is proposed and not just, make wild promises.
Okay.
You know?
Pre-planned campaigning.
It is healthy stuff.
Yeah.
But let me take a couple of minutes, Lou, to address the initial matter you raised, which is to say, which I will describe as the route to the people. The route to the people. So we have this concept, we have this charge to develop a national plan, coming from where it came from, the social partners, and given life from that, or through via that means. Now, we have been in the steering committee set to work. There's also a technical working group. We haven't mentioned it yet. These are the people who are going to design for us the nuts and bolts, having listened to what the people have to say, having consulted various documents and so on, previous plans, what have you, the technical stuff.
And just if I could inform viewers and listeners, the technical working group, Dr. Clement Jackson of the Ministry of Finance, Dr. Patrick Antoinos of the Ministry of Finance, Michael Batiste of the Ministry of Finance, Linus Spencer Thomas, a former permanent secretary in Finance, Fitzroy James, also the Ministry of Finance, Pauline Finley of the Ministry of Education, Lyndon Glasgow, I'm right, it was Lyndon or Lindani, of BNTF, Dr. John Telesport of TAMCC, and Dr. Nicole Philip Dow of the University of the West Indies.
Yes, and the technical working group, very important. So the process is going to be this. There's a charge to develop a national plan. We must then agree on a vision for this plan, which essentially would be a vision for Grenada, the nation. So that is a piece of work that we have already commenced. Once we have that in some proper shape, is going to, the purpose of the vision, the real import of the vision is to create for us the passion to pursue the objective. Yes? So we agree on a vision, then we then go now to see how are we going to realize this vision. And we're going to find that there are going to be various areas that the technical working group is going to have to look into, whether it is education or national reconciliation or agricultural development, you name it. And so as they spade through, do all the spade work with these things, we then arrange the public consultations. You see? Because we must then go to the public and say, this is the thinking, or we can go to the public and say, let's start with your thinking. We can mix it up, you see? So remember, we're discussing the route to the public. The consultations will take several different forms. Right? The steering committee will finalize that very shortly. But the thinking is that we might very well have consultations that are designed specifically for young people. Because remember, this plan is essentially for and about the young people of Grenada. Very, very important. And I might add that the steering committee, in its wisdom, has already agreed, notwithstanding the fact that there's a youth representative on the steering committee, that we should allow to surround us as we do this work, I think 10 or 12 other young people, so that they could be embedded into this process and help us through the consultation, through the public communications and so on. So that is how the thing is going to go. So then we have consultations with young people, we have consultations with what we call stakeholders. We have consultations with the political parties. And we want to separate it out in a way that the consultations, when we go public, we mean the ordinary man in his community.
Okay.
We don't mean somebody speaking on his behalf. because in this instance, the intention is to allow the political parties full access to make as many submissions as they wish regarding aspects of the plan directly to the steering committee, directly to the technical working group. So this is how we're going to evolve, and the people then at the first level would have their inputs. The technical working group is going to go back and redevelop and so on text based on what the people are saying. Then they're going to go back a second time. We all are going to go back, technical working group, steering committee, report back to people as to what the shape of the thing is, and then we go a third time for the approval on by the people of what it is that they say they want this plan to look like.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, we take another short break here, but don't you go away once again. There's more when we return beyond the headlines.
At Quartz, it's the biggest mattress clearance event of the year. We're making room for all new models. So, for a limited time, purchase any mattress, base, or divan, and get a second one, half price. Everything must go. So, head down to Quartz now and take advantage of the biggest mattress clearance event of the year with nothing down and nothing to pay for 90 days. Only at Quartz. Quartz, bringing value home.
It's good to be early. It's good to be early. Pay your Grand Lake bill on time.
Somebody tell me the team come inside here. You go see me and him today? What you doing here? I thought you come down to go and do your blood test.
Yes, ma'am.
So why didn't you just go to the doctor and go to the lab as you are accustomed?
I done that. From now on is one stop I making at the Spice Imaging Center on the Carenage.
So you have doctor and lab here?
Of course it have doctor here. And once the doctor diagnose your problem, whether it's test or scan, they're doing it right here in the brand new state-of-the-art lab. And furthermore, if you have to get medication, the pharmacy and all they right here.
Oh yes, Spice Imaging Center offers CT scans, MRI, ultrasound, ECG, and many other radiology scans. Lab services such as prostate test, cancer markers, etc. Also offers physical therapy and opens on Saturdays just for your convenience.
Inside here so nice and accommodating. I'm going to be back tomorrow, please, God, man.
Spice Isle Imaging Center.
The Spice Sensation 2015 is here. Join us as we showcase the vocal talents of the 15 contestants making it into the semi-final round. Every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. on GBN from 20th September to October 4th. 5 contestants will compete for a chance to be one of the 9 finalists who will perform at the Spice Sensation Finals to be held on November 14th at the Grenada National Stadium. To vote your favorite contestant, text the code given at the end of each performance or visit the Spice Sensation Facebook page and like your favorite contestant's photo. The Spice Sensation is here. Who will you vote for? Spice Sensation, your voice, your dream, your reality. Spice Sensation is sponsored in part by the Grenada Broadcasting Network GBN, the Grenada Trade Center, Nawasa, Glenelg, Star Malt, Grenada National Stadium, Lime, and the National Lottery Authority.
quite a lot about it in the coming weeks, the National Sustainable Development Plan 2030. Gentlemen, we had a pretty nice off-air discussion a while ago, and I wish we could pick it up again. But let me ask, what influence, if any, could outside forces have on whatever plan the country comes up with?
Well, the plan is not done in a vacuum. It's a very important question because we have to face the realities of the global village, where as small countries, we come under external influences. But very important in this plan is the adoption of the core values, what we as a people want. This is about Grenadians first. What do we want? Now, we can't do that in a vacuum. We cannot be unaware or oblivious of what is going on in the external environment. But what do we want? When you think of a plan, a long-term plan, you talk about a vision. Essentially, you ask yourself, what could be and should be for my country? What could be and should be for Grenada? You ask yourself, what kind of citizen we want to raise in this country? And obviously, it has to be a citizen for the times, a citizen who can understand his Grenadianness and embrace that, but is a global and a world citizen, can face the world with confidence and make a living and seize opportunity in the world. So I'm saying that to say, it is for us to determine how we treat with the global environment, with the external world, what we will find acceptable and what we will not.
Okay.
And those are very important conversations to be had. And for us to resolve amongst ourselves what we will, is just like a family. There are certain things that we see going on, and as a family, I might pull my little family together and we agree, we're not doing that. That's not for us. We need this, or we want to go after that. We as a country have to do the very same. The Grenadian family, home and abroad, must come together and decide what is important for us. What are the non-negotiables? And it's premised on our core values, which includes our own spiritual underpinnings, and what it is that we want to see this country become in 15, 20 years from now. And as our Deputy Chairman and others have said, it is about our young people. So they are very important in this conversation. The voices of our youth must be heard very loudly and clearly.
Okay. Vincent was making the point earlier on, or brought up the idea, what happens if, for example, we want to get a loan, the only source it seems to get that loan is from X, who says we must adopt gay marriage. But our plan says no, because of our Christian background, our Christian upbringing, we're not into that. What happens then? Well, you want to speak more on it?
Yeah, well, Lou, this is just one example. Now, we have representation from the Conference of Churches, and we also have the evangelical churches. We claim to be a Christian country. We claim to have certain values. What happens if, in the process of our plan, the people insist that we should never allow gay marriage? But this is one example. What happens if the people says that there should be no gambling? And the government thinks that, issuing casino license is part of my economic plan. How do we reconcile the two? In the case of the gay marriage, what happens if the international funding agencies insist that you must abolish the laws against homosexuality? What happens if they insist that you must allow gay marriage if you are to get economic aid? These things are all tied in now. So we now have to, it's how you deal with it.
Okay.
Do you make a backroom deal, or do you come with transparency and you go to the people and you say, look, this is what we are faced with? We have to consult with the people. And I think this goes further. As a result of this plan, we may have to, and I said may, look at the process with our democracy and our constitution. How bills are presented to Parliament, the rights of our people in putting, bills before Parliament. Do we leave it for the Cabinet alone, or should there be a mechanism for the people's voice to be heard?
Okay.
So this plan is the beginning.
All right.
It may unravel a lot.
What's your views on that?
Well, I believe, Lou, that I hold some personal and strong beliefs, but on this forum, it's the NNP. I believe that you must try within the party not to really tie the hands of government or anybody. Just say, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that. I don't think it's the kind of plan.
Flexibility.
You have to have flexibility. I don't think it's the kind of plan that you would really want to hope to sell to any political party, not even the other side. You have to be able to give your choices, and that it must be, the government must be able to take certain decisions that they would deem that they want to go forward with. As I said earlier on, a plan is a big document, a big instrument, but it would not encompass everything. There might be certain gray areas that may not even be in the plan, but the government must have the decision or the deciding vote, if you want to do that, to determine what they would want to go forward with and how they would want to see the country go forward.
You mean, let me just get, are you saying that if the people decide that they want or they don't want something, that the government should have the right to do it?
I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that you must give the government, whoever is the sitting government, the opportunity to make certain decisions as they see to go forward with. There are certain real controversial issues, and I don't think that you can make that issue the issue for the government because you're saying that they should do that and the government will do that. There might be certain things within the plan that the government will do. There are a lot of things that the government will do. But basically, you don't want to really tie the hands of government. I know you don't want your party to be tied anyway.
I don't think any plan would. I mean, am I right in saying the plan wouldn't really tie anybody?
Yeah.
No. Well,
I mean, it's a sort of a guide to which you.
I know we are going very far and wide. Yes. Perhaps we shouldn't. Because in my view, there really isn't any need for us to be sounding alarm bells. Certainly not at this time. All right. My brothers are treating with ideas, and that's fine. As we're talking about the evolution, the development of a new type of relationship between people and government. Yeah. One of the outputs of one of the impacts of this plan would be precisely that. No. The people who form government are people right around us. We're all Grenadians. And these people have the common sense to understand that you don't do things that are punishable by the people and expect to survive. So it's very simple in my view. There's some issues, judgment comes into play. One might say, listen, let me go back to the people and say, this is what we are facing.
All right. Okay.
And we move on.
We just want to remind you, we have a call in line. I'm going to see you now, caller. The number again is 440-1252. We have a call in line. Hello and welcome.
Good night.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, welcome.
Yeah, good night. Just a question. I just want to know if there is somebody or an advocate on the committee.
All right, caller, just hold on a while if I can alert my technical people because we're not hearing you clearly, distinctly. All right? So let's see if we can try it again. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, go ahead now. Let's see.
You hear me?
No, you're still sounding very... it's okay for you to tomorrow, yeah? No, we're not hearing clearly.
Hello?
Hi.
You hear me now?
Well, it's a little better now.
Okay. My question is, on the committee, is there anybody that is advocating for persons with disability or special needs?
Could you please repeat?
I just want to know if on the committee, if there is an advocate on the committee for persons with disabilities or special needs.
Right. Well, we have civil society, which we believe, so there's no person distinctly representing just the disabled community. We have civil society, which is represented by Sister Joan Purcell on the committee. And I am confident civil society will take up some of those issues, such as, for example, issues raised by the disabled community. But I want to be clear, as we start this public engagement, we will be very open and want to hear directly from communities. There's a very prominent citizen whose name I will not call now, who we'd want to hear from, who has excellent views and ideas on how we should help the disabled community. And that is something we want to cater for, because, because in thinking about Grenada 15 years from now, we have to make sure that people are empowered and given the facilities to function and reach their potential. And that is something, we want to have in the plan. So I feel confident civil society will pick it up, but I'm saying there is direct access provided to the steering committee to hear these views and to receive them into the plan.
Well, we have another caller with us. Hello, welcome.
Hello, good evening.
Hi.
Yes, good evening, Lou.
Yes, go ahead.
Good evening to you and the panelists. First of all, seeing that it's long overdue, I want to know how soon will you begin implementing this plan? 1. 2, are you planning to change the working attitude of the working class people in Grenada, especially the public service, where minimum production is acceptable? Then 3, with the effects, I'm going on to food security now. There are plenty of other things, but I'll just deal with that finally so that I can give somebody else a chance. The issue of food security is extremely important. And so, with the effect of climate change, although Grenada is a very tiny country, there is a microclimate within the climate. So certain things that normally would have grown on the coastal areas with agricultural drought and climate change and stuff, in years to come, probably even before 2030, you would have to probably plant those things and other things way up in the mountainous or tropical rainforest area. What are the plans to make all these areas accessible so that farmers and people who deal with farming could go and produce and deal with the question of food security, which is of paramount importance to the country?
Okay, caller. Thanks for that. But if I may venture to say, you're asking what is the plan for this and the plan for that, but this is exactly why the committee will be coming into the communities to talk to people as how they see. Now, what you're raising, I think, is very important.
Yes, yes.
But I don't think it is, even when we choose to speak for the panelists, in terms of having an answer to that, no.
Well, the caller has started the process.
That is what I'm trying to get at.
He's put in some submissions.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
First thing on timing. The initial timing we have is to have the plan ready by the people, have the people give us the nod on a plan by around June next year. If we need a little more time, we will take more time, okay? But in terms of a timetable, so when he talks about implementation, implementation follows the approval of the plan by the people, its submission to Cabinet through the Minister for Planning, and then onto Parliament. That's the process after which implementation is expected. So that's the timing that we're working with. Sometime next year, our initial target is June. If the consultation requires us to do a bit longer than that, we'll take that into account. Okay. And then on specific submissions like food security and work attitude, he touched some real core issues. Yeah. Those have to be featured in the plan.
Okay.
And you hear different things. I'm hearing him speaking of a land use policy. Yes.
Yes.
So all of these things will be drawn from the submissions.
Into the plan.
Yeah.
Okay, we have another caller with us. Hello.
Good night. Hello? Yeah, good night.
Hi.
Good night to all the gentlemen. Hello? Are you hearing me?
Yes, you are. You are on the air, sir. Go
okay.
ahead.
Yeah, I'm somewhat disappointed with whether some of the persons there tonight, because it seems to me that we're talking about plan and we start putting a lot of stumbling blocks inside already. I mean, there is no plan that is going to work perfectly, Even though we make a 15-year plan, it doesn't mean that you're going to be square one and everything will come out as you want it, But we start going backward already, start talking about what this organization will say and what this organization will say before we actually go to the people and and speak to the people. The committee have not even tell us what they see going to go in the plan yet. I'm somewhat disappointed. I expected to hear more constructive discussion from the committee and then put it to the nation.
Caller, could I ask you a question?
Yes.
What exactly you said you'd like to see?
More constructive.
So you do not like the idea of the committee coming to your village, your community at some time, to find out from you, and I know you're a very positive person.
Yes, I am.
In making contributions, and hearing from you, and to make that document a people-oriented.
That is what I expect, but I'm saying that here the persons of the committee are making some sort of judgments already.
But
you should wait until you go to the people and hear what the people are actually saying, and then see how you match it into the plan, because no plan will work perfectly. Right?
Okay.
And with whatever you do, government still have to come back and have a final in whatever the plans are. It doesn't matter what we put into the plans. If in any government, whether it's NDC, NMP, whatever, the government will have a final say.
Okay, caller. Thank you.
Right. Well, I just wanted to show the caller, and I like the passion of the caller. This plan will call for a lot of passion in its construction and implementation. We have not written a single line or chapter on this plan as yet. We have not. So we are not coming with any preconceived ideas or notions. There are, of course, things that we will draw on as we go forward, because there are reference documents which we can look at, which from the benefit and fruit of previous consultations. But I want to be very clear to the nation tonight. The plan has not been written. It is the plan has to be written by all of us. And as we move around, we will get a clear sense of what people want, what their priorities are, and even in terms of how we phase the plan or the proposed implementation, we'd have to be guided by what people want first. For example, the issue of food security. We have to understand what it is that we want to do with food security, how we intend to treat with the issues of the international trade arrangement that touch and concern food security, what we want to do in our nation's schools with respect to food security, because part of that is changing tastes and preferences at the school level, at the level, at the level of the household. Those are fundamental issues. You have to generate a demand for that. Okay? What we're going to do, for example, with our public service. The caller raised that. How are we going to ensure that we have a public service that serves the nation and that is efficient and that basically helps us expedite growth? Those are issues that we have to hear from. And so we want to be very clear. The nation has to give an indication of the direction it wants to go, how quickly it wants to get there, and whether and to what extent we will involve various partners, external and internal, to get there. Okay. But let's be clear. It is you, the people, who decide what goes in the plan.
Okay. We have another caller with us. Hello,
yes,
welcome.
Good evening, Citizen Smith. Greetings. How are you?
Hello.
Good evening, Citizen Smith. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Very well. Good evening to your guests.
Good evening. Good evening.
Yes, very well. Citizen Smith, I had two questions, but I've changed my plan of asking questions because of some of the ambiguity I've been hearing there. Citizen Smith, would you permit me, therefore, to make a contribution with my opinion?
Go ahead, caller.
Thank you very much,
Just be as brief as possible.
Yes, indeed. You know I'm quite precise and to the point, Citizen Smith. Listen. This plan, this national plan, is long overdue. It demonstrates, in uncertain terms, that the leaders of this country over the past 30 years have been inept, incompetent, and improvisionist in nature. And they should be ashamed of themselves. However, it is here that is proposed. I fully support it. But Citizen Smith, I'm hearing ambiguity there in the voices of the various representatives, although not a word has been written yet. I have another problem, Citizen Smith. The foundation of a nation is in the Constitution. The Constitution of this here nation, Citizen Smith, the current Constitution, is a neo-colonialist document that creates conditions for social injustice and inequality. And this is one of the major problems. And therefore, I don't want to sound negative, but no plan can work under the same Constitution. No plan. I'll tell you this because if you have to build, Citizen Smith, whatever you have to build, you cannot build it on unstable and placid ground. Therefore, if you look at all the things things that are expected to come out in this plan. For creating a first, as although in contrary to what I heard somebody say, that the plan should be built and then a vision. No. As a mechanic, I can tell you, you have to have the vision first. And after the vision, which sets the direction to go, then you establish a plan, and then you establish the protocol for its implementation. This is the direction it has to go. But before we do that, Citizen Smith, we have to create stable ground. We have to create a system of government, Citizen Smith, that is not, I repeat, not an elected dictatorship that creates division and partisanism. In other words, I wish to suggest, I'm awaiting the debate. We have to create conditions, first by a constitutional reform, to establish, first, accountability, boundaries, and thirdly, consequences for those who overstep the boundaries. Until that is done, we wasting time. But okay. I await the debate.
Okay, caller.
Thank you very much, citizen.
Okay, thank you very much, citizen caller. Before we get a comment on that, we'll just take a short commercial break. But don't you go away. Let's move and we return after headlines.
Holland, here we come. Purchase 2 Dutch Lady full cream, semi-skimmed or skimmed milk products for your chance to win an exciting trip to Holland for 2. Just deposit your receipts with your name and telephone number in the Dutch Lady boxes at various outlets where Dutch Lady milk is sold. For more information, call 435-0771 or 435-0772. You could be on your way to Holland thanks to Dutch Lady Milk. Milk for the entire family. Distributed by Hubbard's Agency, Kirani James Boulevard, where you get quality service at affordable prices.
At Quartz, it's the biggest mattress clearance event of the year. We're making room for all new models. So, for a limited time, purchase any mattress, base, or divan, and get a second one, half price. Everything must go. So, head down to Quartz now and take advantage of the biggest mattress clearance event of the year with nothing down and nothing to pay for 90 days. Only at Quartz. Quartz, bringing value home.
Are you ready to receive a blessing, Grenada? Then on Saturday, October 3rd, head out to the Spice Basket inside Bolio for the 6th edition of the GBN Gospel Challenge. Come hear 12 melodious voices compete in song for the coveted title of GBN Gospel Challenge winner and the chance to represent Grenada in a gospel tour in Canada. All backed by the sensational Touch of Grace Band. And this year, for the first time, a special guest will be bringing the special flavor to the finals, taking it to a higher level. Yes, Grenada. Youth evangelist Ryzen will be here.
Hey, there goes again. He took me to a higher level.
It's the 6th edition of the GBN Gospel Challenge, and it's better than ever. Showtime 6 p.m. sharp. Remember, the first lucky 50 entrants will receive special door prizes, compliments, duty-free Caribbean and Colombian Emeralds International. So get there early. Tickets $25 adults and children pay $15.
Our sponsors and partners: Grenada Gospel Connection, Duty-Free Caribbean and Colombian Emeralds International, GUT Credit Union, Aces Sanitary Ware, Fast Cash, University of the West Indies, 7 Seas, Calinago Beach Resort, Grenada Bottling Company, Cashways, McDonald's Amusement Park and Cuisine, and Grand Epoch Wines. Get your tickets today from Duty Free Caribbean at the Esplanade Mall, GBN on Observatory Road, Norm's Shopping Center in Grenville, or any contestant of Gospel Challenge 2015.
Welcome back to the final moments of the program. We have, gentlemen, just about 7 minutes remaining. And I think, Carlton, you wanted to briefly respond. Oh, no, sorry. William?
Yes. Thank you. Just for the benefit of citizen caller, to assure him that we had said a little earlier that that the vision, that we already commenced some work on the vision for the plan, and that the details are going to flow from that vision. So we agree with him, except that he perhaps missed or misunderstood what we were saying. So if he did, citizen caller, just to assure him that the starting point really for this is the question of the vision. And I had said earlier that the vision is going to give us the passion we need to pursue the work to be done. And that passion has to be widespread across the nation so that everybody who is willing and able comes forward and contributes to the development of the plan. So just so that he's clear on the issue, and we thank him very much. Finally, just to say also to him that we anticipate that some of the output of the work we are doing will have implications for the Constitution. Obviously, we talked about a new kind of relationship between people and government. That has to find its way into the constitutional arrangements. But we can't say, okay, let's not attempt to do this plan and wait for people to work on this Constitution. I think it makes much more sense as we deal with other issues of national development to feed into the constitutional reform work, specific things that need to be addressed as they come through the experiences of people in the communities.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned this, because one of the final question I had really was to ask what is the relationship, if any, or between this particular committee and the work of the Constitution Reform Committee. But this is only the first in a number of programs I'm sure we'll be having together. And I know time is against us on this occasion, and I guess I'll be around with some of your town hall sessions. I hope to listen to more of it and have you folks back here sometime.
And as we keep saying, Lou, this is a people's plan.
Okay.
And the very nature of the people's plan may require putting more power in the hands of the people. And this may require tweaking the Constitution so that it reflects the people having more power than the government itself. So the government will truly be the servants of
But that should really be, and the power should be handed to the people, and the government executes. A quick word from you, Carlton.
Well, no, my quick word is about implementation. As I said earlier on, that we are committed to the plan and the planning process. And we're also committed in terms of implementing maybe all of the tenets of the plan, most of all. As you know, it's going to be, as you go step by step, you prioritize and you go forward. And whatever that the manifesto comes out with, because if we're talking the parties here, we are actually going to be quoting the plan with regards to those things that we pull from the plan. So I have no problems. We have a good history and a good record in terms of implementing. And I know we have implemented, as it were, some of the plans before. St. George's Development Plan, we have done quite a lot of work in that, and so on. That we could talk about a little later. So I have no problems with respect to the implementation.
You also had 1% Davis with a tongue, but that seems to be part of some...
That would be in the plan as well, and I hope that it comes up, because we're thinking seriously about doing that.
30 seconds, Vincent.
Well, Lou, we are satisfied that the National Democratic Congress is going to be taking part in this process. We think that it's a great opportunity to stop this, crazy false promises to people that we can't deliver on. It is an opportunity for the people to decide what direction we want to go. And we think that our party is best suited to implement any plan, and this is why we're taking a very active part.
All right. Very good. William.
Yeah, well, thank you. Just to flag two things. One is the importance of public confidence in the process, and that is a precondition for success. The other point I want to flag, we raised it already, is the nature and extent of youth involvement in all of this thing. And lastly, to say that at the heart of the work that we have to do is this question of the ideas coming from the communities, ideas from the people as to what it is that they want to see for the countries.
All right. Well, I had a minute. I had a minute for you, Timothy. William is taking 15 seconds.
Well, that's the nature of the partnership. We're sharing. And you saw our democracy at work with the two parties having a little jabs at each other. But that's all part of the business. I want to just say that ultimately, as Grenadians, home and abroad, and friends of Grenada, we have to take responsibility for our development. And the time has come where we must give our full attention to crafting a society that we want to live in and we want our children to grow up in. And therefore, it behooves all of us to embrace this opportunity to come up with a national plan that will serve us for many years to come. I want to endorse the call to our youth to get involved. This is about you. Do not sit by, be distracted by other issues, including the good stuff on social media, and miss this opportunity to shape your nation. So young people, you need to come on board now. We are listening, and it is our obligation, one we take very seriously, to fully and faithfully represent the views of the nation in this plan. So I thank all listeners tonight and viewers. I want to thank my colleagues. I think people have seen the camaraderie on the set, how we've been working together since we first started our work in May, and I'm very optimistic that with that spirit, we will serve our nation well. Come on board. This is our plan. This is our country.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I've been speaking with Timothy Entwine, who is the chairman of the committee. That is the National Sustainable Development Plan 2030 Committee, the steering committee. Timothy is the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Finance. Next to him was William Joseph, who is of the Conference of Churches, former ambassador of Grenada in Europe. Which part of Europe you were in? Brussels?
No.
Carrick. Why did I send you to Brussels?
You wanted to send me, but
I've been to Brussels before. I thought you were with me on the trip to Brussels.
Boris coming back.
Oh, I see. You've been chasing donkeys.
Vincent Roberts of the National Democratic Congress, and Carlton Frederick of the New National Party. We thank you all very much, and looking forward to be together again. That will complete our program for this time. Do sincerely hope you can join us another time. I am Lou on behalf of the entire crew. So long.
You ready to receive a blessing, Grenada? Then on Saturday, October 3rd, head out to the Spice Basket inside Bolio for the 6th edition of the GBN Gospel Challenge. Come hear 12 melodious voices compete in song for the coveted title of GBN Gospel Challenge winner and the chance to represent Grenada in a gospel tour in Canada. All backed by the sensational Touch of Grace Band. And this year, for the first time, a special guest will be bringing the special flavor to the finals, taking it to a higher level. Yes, Grenada, youth evangelist Ryzen will be here.
There goes again. He took me to a higher level.
It's It's the 6th edition of the GBN Gospel Challenge, and it's better than ever. Showtime 6 p.m. sharp. Remember, the first lucky 50 entrants will receive special door prizes, compliments, duty-free Caribbean and Colombian Emeralds International. So get there early. Tickets $25 adults, and children pay $15.
Our sponsors and partners: Grenada Gospel Connection, Duty Free Caribbean and Colombian Emeralds International, GUT Credit Union, Aces Sanitary Ware, Fast Cash, University of the West Indies, 7 Seas, Calinago Beach Resort, Grenada Bottling Company, Cashwiz, McDonald's Amusement Park and Cuisine, and Grand Epoch Wines. Get your tickets today from Duty Free Caribbean at the Esplanade Mall, GBN on Observatory Road, Norm's Shopping Center in Grenville, or any contestant of Gospel Challenge 2015.
Classic FM 105.5 and 105.9. Grenada Talk.